Hariyama Jiro, a massive pusher, had a kid cornered on a Shinjuku rooftop. Tojima strolled up, totally unfazed, even as the criminal screamed at him to back off. Then our boy did the unthinkable. He pressed the revolver to his own temple and pulled the trigger. Bam! Talk about a crazy way to start a mission. Rewinding 30 minutes earlier, we see Shinjuku's neon streets. A low-level pusher took a hostage after a police stop went wrong. This wasn't just any crook. He was on the juice. Inside their car, Tojima and his new partner, Matrix, reviewed the case. This guy was a Type D criminal, a Dopeman. That meant things were about to get very messy, very fast. Let's meet the duo. We've got Tojima, the cynical veteran, and Matrix, the rookie who's way too energetic. She grumbled about him turning off the radio while she was actually working. The car screeched through traffic as they got closer. Matrix barked updates about the suspect being holed up. Tojima just listened, his face like stone while he gripped the steering wheel. Matrix popped a lollipop, calling herself the brains of Unit D. Tojima snapped at her to knock it off. They're definitely not winning any Best Partners of the Year awards yet. She held up a tablet, showing Hariyama Jiro's file. The kid was only 17, but already causing chaos. Matrix found the whole report pretty generic and just sent the data over. This pusher was getting his supply from a sketchy reseller. As the car sped along, Matrix explained the suspect's history. It was a classic case of someone flying too high. The drug of choice? Icarus. If this guy adapted to such high-purity stuff, Shinjuku was going to become a smoking crater. They had to move before things turned into a total disaster. Matrix leaned forward, her eyes narrowing as they arrived at the cordoned-off scene. She was determined to arrest him. Tojima, however, had a much darker definition of a successful mission. You mean put down, right? Tojima corrected her, his voice cold. He checked his weapon, already preparing for a lethal encounter. Matrix just stared, her face paling at his casual tone. They stepped out of the Mini Cooper into a sea of police lights. Matrix shouted that he couldn't just kill the guy. The local cops were already swarming the perimeter building. Tojima ignored her, mentioning that the laws don't say anything about sparing addicts. He walked past the officers with a chilling resolve. The state left the judgment to the NCD agents. Matrix didn't back down, demanding to know if their job was to protect people. She glared at his back, teeth gritted. Our girl has a heart, but Tojima only sees targets. Two more agents joined the fray, Akira and Jack. Tojima told Matrix to stay out of his way if they were going to be partners. The dynamic just keeps getting more tense. Tojima got on the line with the big boss at the ministry. The order was clear: put on the Colombian neckties. Things were officially moving from an arrest to an execution. The whole squad stood ready. Matrix, Akira, and Jack each held their specialized gear. They weren't just cops. They were the government's own brand of monsters sent to hunt their own. Special Unit D prepared to breach. Matrix clutched her injector while Tojima kept his eyes on the prize. The air felt heavy as they crossed the yellow tape toward the building. Here we go. The team powered up, sniffing and licking their custom doses to trigger their abilities. Eyes glowing and veins popping. They were finally on the scene and ready for war. They reached the building, which was riddled with holes from the earlier fight. The local cops watched with disgusted looks. Tojima just leaned back, waiting for the real fun to start. Inspector Shibuya stepped out, looking all high and mighty. He told the NCD to beat it, claiming this wasn't their case. Clearly, the regular police don't like sharing the spotlight. Boom! A massive explosion rocked the building, sending glass flying everywhere. Shibuya's jaw dropped as smoke billowed. Matrix screamed for Tojima, but the veteran was already moving through the chaos. 1 second he's there, the next he's gone. Matrix and his crew look around, totally clueless. Our boy just straight up disappeared into the dark alley, without leaving a single trace. Tojima didn't stay hidden for long, though. He suddenly popped up, right behind Jiro on the roof. "Sup?" he muttered, scaring the crap out of the giant who spun around in shock. Jiro screamed for him to stay back, but Tojima wasn't listening. He pulled his revolver, pointed it at his own head, and called the massive criminal a piece of junk. This guy is absolutely nuts. He looked Jiro dead in the eye, calmly stating his intention to only shoot himself. He's either got a death wish or something else. Bam! He actually did it, pulling the trigger right against his temple. Jiro watched in total shock as a massive burst of energy erupted from the crazy detective. Instead of dying, Tojima stood there while his body absorbed the shock. Jiro was sweating bullets now, realizing that his opponent wasn't exactly human anymore. This was a peacemaker. Our boy's body started popping and cracking as the power surged through him. He arched his back, steam pouring out as he triggered his transformation. This is getting intense. He took a deep, shaky breath, teeth bared like a predator. His hand clenched tight as the energy finished settling. Tojima was officially ready to deal out some serious pain. Jiro tried to use the kid as a shield, but Tojima just stood his ground. His coat billowed in the wind, eyes cold and sharp. He didn't look worried at all. In a flash, Tojima launched himself into the air, soaring way above the rooftop. Jiro looked up, his jaw dropping as he realized he was about to get crushed. He slammed back down, shielding the little girl from the blast. Jiro barely had time to react before Tojima was right back in his face, ready for the next round. The criminal lunged forward, screaming that he was going to kill him. Tojima didn't even flinch. He just watched the massive, junky charge, his expression as cold as ice. Tojima countered with a devastating blow, explaining that these powers were simply a reflection of a person's inner desires. A massive explosion rocked the rooftop as he crushed the giant. He got right in Jiro's face, mocking him for destroying things out of pure terror. The criminal spat back insults, but he was clearly losing this fight to the detective. It was a total beatdown. Tojima landed hit after hit, his movements so fast they were just a blur. Jiro couldn't keep up with this level of sheer speed and power. Finally, Tojima pinned the giant down with his boot, looking down with pure contempt. He made a chilling promise. He was going to kill every single Dopeman in Tokyo. Talk about cold-blooded. While Jiro lay broken on the ground, Tojima casually reloaded his revolver. He didn't even look at his defeated enemy as the bullets clicked into place. But wait, they weren't alone. A sniper named Brother was watching the whole thing through a scope. He grumbled about what a pain in the ass this mission had become. Suddenly, Matrix collapsed on the ground, looking totally exhausted or hurt. Tojima glanced back, noticing his partner was down. This mission just took a turn for the worse. Matrix tumbled across the concrete as the sniper's pressure intensified. Tojima watched her fall, his face remaining completely unreadable. This partnership is off to a really rough start. He told her to think before she acted, sounding more like an annoyed teacher than a partner. Matrix could only groan, clutching her chest as she tried to catch her breath. Another explosion rocked the area, sending smoke everywhere. Tojima stood tall amidst the chaos, looking completely unfazed while Matrix struggled to get back on her feet behind him. Matrix realized the sniper was just buying time for Jiro to escape. She panted, looking at the debris, while Tojima prepared to chase them down. He's not letting them go. Tojima told her to handle things there, and jumped away. Matrix was fuming. She couldn't believe he'd just leave his wounded partner behind like she was some kind of trash. Akira and Jack arrived to find Matrix limping, her leg bleeding pretty badly. She looked around frantically, wondering where that heartless bastard went. Our boy is already on the hunt. Matrix wasn't in the mood for her teammates' jokes. She barked out orders, warning everyone that the suspect had an accomplice and they needed to move fast to catch them. Down in the parking garage, Jiro and Brother were busy loading their van. They were trying to stay under the radar, but the pressure of the heist was clearly getting to them. Down in the garage, Jiro apologized to Brother for wasting their Icarus stash. Brother just sat there smoking, grumbling about how the cops and the NCD were both crawling all over them. He warned Jiro that betrayal is a mortal sin to the cartel. If the boss found out they'd been dipping into the free samples, they'd have an executioner on their tails next. Brother pointed out that Tojima is known as the NCD's Mad Dog and Peacemaker. Apparently, this guy has left a mountain of Dopeman corpses behind him, making him a serious threat. Without another word, Brother took aim and pulled the trigger. He whispered Tojima's name as the shot rang out, clearly wanting to see if the legend lived up to the hype. The bullet tore through the air with a massive whistle. It slammed into a pillar with a deafening boom, narrowly missing its target, but definitely sending a very clear message. Brother mocked the agents for eavesdropping, his eyes still glued to the scope. He didn't seem bothered by their presence at all, acting like this was just another day at the office. Tojima didn't care about their junkie drama. He demanded to know where he could find Narco, his face remaining totally calm even while standing next to a freshly shattered concrete pillar. When they didn't answer, our boy told him to just die already. Brother was genuinely shocked to hear Tojima was actually going after the big boss. This just got way more personal. Suddenly, Matrix came charging in with Tojima's own car. She screamed for them to stop, slamming the Mini Cooper right into the middle of the standoff with a massive crash. Tojima was livid, shouting about her running him over with his own ride. Matrix just called him a jerk, insisting she had to stop him before he executed the suspects on sight. Stepping out of the wreck, Matrix officially announced they were with the NCD. She ordered the criminals to drop their weapons, listing off a bunch of charges like she was a regular cop. Jiro and Brother were definitely not intimidated by her speech. Brother just spat out a crude insult, telling her to shut up while he focused on his next move. Gunfire erupted again as Brother started blasting. Matrix took a defensive stance, while Tojima grumbled about his partner being an idiot. He knew words wouldn't work on these psychos. Tojima lunged to shield Matrix as a massive explosion rocked the garage. While he saved her life, all Matrix could do was scream about the damage to her precious car. They ducked behind a van for cover as bullets flew everywhere. Both agents were pinned down, their ideological argument briefly forgotten while they try not to get their heads blown off. Tojima snapped at her to stay out of his way, but Matrix wasn't backing down. She told him to stop being so reckless, even with their orders to execute the targets. She insisted she could handle the weapon, but Tojima just grabbed it from her. He mocked her for still trying to make an arrest, telling her to just stand aside. Matrix shouted that they were supposed to be partners, but Tojima didn't want to hear it. Brother overheard the whole spat, laughing at the two of them for having a falling out. Brother yelled for Jiro to hit his bullet, and the massive junkie charged forward. They were combining their powers for a specialized attack, and things were about to get extremely explosive. Hariyama Jiro slammed his fist down, triggering a massive explosion that shook the garage. This hulking antagonist with facial scars was fueled by a drug, giving his punches pure explosive power. Our boy Tojima and his rookie partner, Matrix, barely managed to dodge the blast. This veteran NCD agent with a neck tattoo didn't look impressed, even as the heat singed the air. A massive explosion echoed through the parking garage, turning concrete into shrapnel. Jiro was just getting started, and he didn't care about the collateral damage as long as he hit his targets. Tojima and Matrix slid across the floor, desperately seeking cover. The blonde rookie girl with tactical gear looked exhausted, but her veteran partner remained cold and focused on the massive threat. The villains were feeling themselves, boasting about their invincible combo. Brother explained that between his enlarging bullets and Jiro's explosive hits, no one stood a single chance against their dope power. These criminals were totally drunk on their own power. With unshakable will, they claimed they could alter reality itself. Honestly, their arrogance was almost as dangerous as the explosions they were causing. Tojima gritted his teeth, realizing these clowns were completely ignoring the laws of physics. Matrix hunkered down beside him, looking a bit overwhelmed by the absolute chaos unfolding around their position. The criminal brothers shared a cocky fist bump, confident the NCD agents were already dead meat. They were having the time of their lives, treating this high-stakes hunt like a game. Brother told Jiro to ignore the woman. He wanted Tojima's head. This bearded creep with the black beanie had a personal grudge and was itching to bring the legendary Peacemaker down. Tojima warned Matrix that another round was coming. He could tell these guys were high on their own supply, making them unpredictable and incredibly dangerous as they closed in for more. Matrix leaped into action, bullets whizzing past her as she moved through the garage. She was faster than she looked, but the sheer volume of fire was keeping them pinned down. Another fiery blast erupted, illuminating the dark garage in a blinding flash. Jiro was just swinging wildly now, turning the parking structure into a literal war zone with every single punch. The duo's coordination was terrifying. While Jiro charged in with explosive force, Brother kept the pressure on from a distance, pinning the agents down with heavy sniper fire that decimated their cover. Tojima checked his revolver while Matrix caught her breath, looking completely drained. They were reaching their limit, and he knew he needed to load a specialized round to turn the tide. With a sharp gaze, Tojima fired back. He wasn't about to let some low-level pushers get the better of him, especially not when he had a legendary reputation and his own powers. He didn't sugarcoat it, telling Matrix she was slowing him down. The veteran was all about efficiency, and right now, his rookie partner seemed more like a liability in this frantic fight. Tojima's eyes narrowed as he gripped his revolver. He suggested they ask the boss to cancel their pairing before things got even uglier. He clearly preferred working alone over babysitting a rookie. This guy was cold as ice, claiming he'd gladly trade one Dopeman's life to stop a rampage. In his eyes, it was just a bargain, a brutal perspective that Matrix clearly didn't share. Matrix didn't back down, insisting that Tojima's life wasn't cheap. She practically begged him to use her abilities, declaring that she was a dope man too and ready to do her part. Meanwhile, the villains were still prowling the garage, laughing as they searched for their prey. They knew their targets couldn't hide forever and were clearly enjoying every second of the hunt. Matrix snapped at Tojima, reminding him they were on a ticking clock. She wasn't about to let him waste time on some no-name criminals when they had much more important goals. Tojima actually smirked, calling the rookie cocky. It seemed like her fire finally earned a bit of his respect, even if he was still playing the role of the grumpy veteran agent. Matrix declared that they'd seen enough of the enemy's powers. Now, it was all down to their imagination and coordination to flip the script and take these two arrogant brothers down. Jiro paused to catch his breath, eyes scanning the shadows for his targets. This dude was getting twitchy, clearly itching for another hit of his dope power to keep the party going. He finally spotted them hiding behind a pillar and let out a wicked grin. This psycho started revving up, his fists ready to blow their cover sky high in an instant. Jiro slammed his fists together, triggering his explosive dope power. This guy was absolutely loving the chaos, treating the high-stakes battle like his own personal playground of destruction. While Brother lined up a shot through his sniper scope, Jiro continued his rampage. These two were perfectly in sync, leaving Tojima and Matrix with zero room to catch their breath. In a crazy display of teamwork, Jiro punched a giant bullet fired by his brother. The impact sent the massive projectile flying with even more explosive force toward our agents. A deafening boom ripped through the garage as the combined attack landed. The sheer power of these drug-fueled psychos was turning the entire concrete structure into a literal death trap. Standing amidst the flames, the criminals started dreaming big, claiming they'd eventually become cartel bosses. They were totally convinced that their invincible combo made them the new kings of Tokyo. Tojima's voice cut through the smoke, asking if they were really that delusional. He wasn't about to let some overconfident junkies lecture him on power while he still had a job to do. Even under heavy fire, Tojima remained cold as ice. He and Matrix scrambled for a better position while he prepared his own weapon, his sharp eyes never leaving the target. The thugs were closing in, but Matrix started unloading with her submachine gun to keep them back. She looked terrified, yet she was still holding the line beside her veteran partner. Tojima suddenly told Matrix it was her turn. She dropped her submachine gun without hesitation, signaling that it was finally time to use her real trump card ability to end this fight. Matrix's expression shifted, becoming intense and focused as she activated her power. This rookie was about to show everyone why she was officially paired with a lethal veteran like Tojima. She reached out with her hand, a strange mechanical whirring sound echoing as she focused her will. Something big was coming, and Jiro was about to find out she had powers too. Matrix explained her unique ability, Period Matrix, which allowed her to synthesize any drug inside her body. She literally birthed a custom round of Icarus right into the palm of her hand. She tossed the specialized drug to Tojima, who caught it and loaded it into his revolver with professional ease. They were officially fighting fire with fire using the enemy's own drug. Tojima took the shot, a massive blast erupting from his barrel. The Icarus-loaded round hit with unbelievable force, instantly shattering the villain's confidence as their invincible defense was torn apart. Jiro and Brother were stunned, unable to believe their perfect combo was failing. They kept shouting about being invincible, but their fear was finally starting to show on their faces. Tojima didn't stop, firing more specialized rounds that swirled with glowing energy. He was systematically dismantling their attacks, proving that a professional agent is much scarier than a drug-crazed pusher. The bullets whizzed through the air, cutting through the smoke and debris like heat-seeking missiles. The tide of the battle had completely shifted in just a few heart-pounding seconds. Small, high-velocity rounds pierced right through the villain's oversized projectiles, making them pop like bubbles. Jiro's eyes widened in horror as his explosive power was rendered completely useless by the agents. A series of massive explosions rocked the garage as the energy backfired on the criminals. Brother could only watch in terror as their invincible world crumbled into fire and smoke. Tojima explained the trap, revealing that Matrix had synthesized the exact drug that fueled their powers to neutralize them. By using Icarus against them, they'd made the brothers' own energy backfire. With the villains defeated and Jiro on his knees, Tojima walked up and pointed his gun at the guy's head. He looked ready to end it right then and there. Tojima told Jiro he was sending him to hell to join his brother. Jiro completely lost it, begging for mercy as the cold veteran agent prepared to pull the trigger. Just as Tojima was about to fire, Matrix appeared behind him with glowing, butterfly-like wings. She wasn't about to let her partner execute a defenseless criminal, no matter what they'd done. Matrix explains she used a paralyzing poison from a Madagascar sunset moth. This girl is all about saving lives, which totally clashes with Tojima's brutal, kill-them-all veteran vibe. Our boy Tojima collapses instantly, his body completely paralyzed. He's furious that his partner poisoned him just to protect a criminal, but he can't even lift a finger now. Matrix stood over her paralyzed partner, assuring him he'd be fine. Even after poisoning the guy, she still called him her partner, clearly feeling a deep connection despite their clashing methods. This girl was convinced that Tojima was the legendary peacemaker, the only Dopeman capable of neutralizing any drug. She looked dead serious as she stared down at the veteran agent she just incapacitated. Matrix argued that these addicts would just keep committing crimes for more hits. While Jiro lay defeated on the ground, she explained her belief that they needed a chance at real rehabilitation. She yelled that they'd keep arresting them as many times as it takes until they finally change. Matrix's idealism was on full display as she stood her ground against Tojima's ruthless executioner mindset. As the poison wore off, Tojima looked completely done with his new rookie partner. Matrix just shrugged it off, reminding him that saving lives and rehabilitating addicts was the NCD's actual job. Tojima called her a dumbass, warning her never to pull that stunt again. Matrix just smirked with her small fangs, claiming she'd only ever do something that reckless to someone like him. Looking out over the Tokyo skyline, Tojima could already tell this was going to be one extremely painful partnership. Their ideologies were miles apart, but they were stuck together for now. Outside, the Metropolitan Police and ambulances had finally arrived to clean up the mess. The battle was over, but the tension between the agents and the regular cops was still palpable. While paramedics loaded the criminals onto stretchers, Shibuya watched with a sour expression. Meanwhile, Matrix witnessed a heartwarming moment as the hostage child was finally reunited with his mother nearby. The mother pulled her daughter into a tight, tearful hug, thanking the stars she was safe. It was a rare moment of peace in a world that had clearly gone to hell. Matrix happily waved goodbye to the kid, her cheerful vibe returning instantly. Tojima just slammed the car door, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else than in a car with her. The two agents took a breather on the hood of their car. Tojima lit up a cigarette while Matrix sat there looking surprisingly relaxed after nearly killing her own partner with poison. Matrix claimed she learned her cocky attitude from the best, which only earned her another insult from Tojima. They were officially Japan's newest, most dysfunctional duo in a world gone mad. Turns out, Japan had actually legalized most drugs after a massive law revision. The country was now flooded with pharmaceuticals, creating a society where being high was basically the new normal. This legalization led to a new drug called Icarus, which gave certain addicts supernatural powers. To fight these dopemen, the government formed a special squad made entirely of superpowered addicts themselves. The NCD's Unit D was the government's answer to the epidemic. They were literally fighting fire with fire, using people like Tojima and Matrix as their ultimate trump card against the cartels. Tojima and Matrix stood ready for their next assignment as members of Unit D. They were officially paired up, whether they liked it or not, to keep the streets of Tokyo safe. Everything actually kicked off 3 months ago at a top-secret government facility. This was where the plan to pair these two unconventional agents together was first put into motion. The biggest shock? Matrix had just woken up from a 10-year-long coma before joining the force. Now she was officially Tojima's partner, ready to face a world that had changed completely. Japan revised its laws, and now most drugs are totally legal. You see salarymen walking around with baggies like it's no big deal. It's a weird, drug-filled new reality. Then there's Icarus, a drug that gives addicts insane superpowers. These dope men are basically walking disasters, and ordinary people are terrified of getting caught in their chaotic, physics-defying wake. Deep in the mountains, a truck rumbles along a quiet road at night. The engine's roar is the only thing breaking the silence as it heads toward a mysterious, secluded facility. This is a remote medical center on the outskirts of Tokyo. It looks fancy, but inside they're doing some seriously sketchy experiments that the general public knows absolutely nothing about. Inside, the air is thick with the sound of beeping monitors and clinking tools. The doctors look stressed, whispering about their high-stakes project while carefully monitoring the patient vitals. In the center of the lab, a young girl is strapped down like a wild animal. Chains and heavy leather restraints keep her pinned to the cold metal operating table. This is test subject 001. She's got long blonde hair and a metal muzzle over her face. Her eyes are wide with pure terror as she scans the white room. The scientists watch her every move with clinical detachment. To these creeps, she's not a person, just a valuable asset they need to keep under total control at all costs. Suddenly, a loud shout echoes through the facility. Something is definitely going down outside, and it's about to make an already tense situation much worse for everyone involved. The girl starts thrashing against her chains, making the doctors panic. She's finally awake, and she's clearly not happy about being treated like a lab rat in this place. One doctor quickly grabs a syringe, ready to knock her out again. They can't afford to let her get loose, especially knowing how powerful these dope men can actually be. Kubo sneers at her, calling her a monster that isn't even human. This dude has zero empathy, seeing his patient as nothing more than a dangerous, non-human thing. Outside, the truck screeches to a halt at the hospital entrance. The driver is clearly in a hurry, and he isn't exactly trying to be subtle about his midnight arrival. A man steps out of the cab, looking way too calm for a top-secret facility. He grabs his keys and heads for the back, looking totally out of place. This guy grins to himself, looking like he's got a nasty secret. As the truck doors creak open, you can tell this isn't going to be a normal delivery. Meanwhile, The night shift nurses are just chatting away in their office. They're completely clueless about the horror that just parked right outside their front door in the dark. Hinari heads out to start her rounds, walking down the quiet, sterile hallway. She expects a normal night, but things are about to get extremely weird very fast. She notices a strange group in the corridor and starts counting them. Something feels off about the way they're just standing there, completely still and silent like statues. Hinari confronts the driver, asking what he's doing there so late. Tsukumo just smirks, claiming he's just here to drop off a special delivery for the hospital patients. He gestures to a line of creepy love dolls standing in the hall. It's a super unsettling sight, and our girl is definitely starting to feel a bit sketched out. Hinari isn't buying his story and demands to see his papers. Nobody mentioned a midnight delivery, and her gut is telling her that something is very wrong here. The man reaches into his jacket, but he isn't pulling out any paperwork. A loud snap rings out as he prepares to show her his true, twisted nature. This girl freezes, her face pale with fear as more snapping sounds echo through the hall. She realizes too late that she's standing right in front of a monster. Tsukumo finally drops the act, revealing a flashy outfit and a manic grin. This guy is a high-level dope man, and he's clearly here for way more than just a delivery. The psycho snaps at the nurse, screaming at her to stop staring. Seeing her shake with pure terror only makes him enjoy this twisted situation even more. Tsukumo makes a sudden move, and the poor nurse can barely process what just happened. This guy's speed is on a whole different level compared to a normal human. A group of dolls stands silently in the hallway outside the night duty room. It's a creepy sight that would make anyone think twice about walking down that corridor alone. Inside, Tsukumo is chilling with his dolls. He complains about how bad humans smell, clearly preferring the company of his inanimate collection over any real person he's encountered today. This psycho is ready to get to work. He picks up one of his dolls and heads out, looking way too excited about whatever messed up plan he's about to execute. Back in the main lab area, things look almost normal. Doctors are walking around, completely unaware that a high-level dope man is currently stalking the halls of their facility in the dark. The staff decides to wash their hands of the situation. They figure they'll just let the police handle the blonde subject from here on out, since it's no longer their problem. As they walk away, one doctor asks who's actually watching the girl. The other just dismisses it, claiming he's already made sure everything is under control for the night shift. Kubo shows his true colors, calling the on-duty nurse junkie scum who only got hired to meet a quota. He doesn't even care if she ends up dead by morning. The doctors complain about dope men waking up at inconvenient times while they head for the exit. They're treating this entire situation like it's just another annoying day at the office. Tsukumo watches them leave, smirking behind their backs. He thinks humans are total idiots for believing they could ever stand a chance against someone with the power of a dope man. This creep makes his way into the observation room. He stares through the glass at the blonde girl, likely seeing her as just another potential addition to his doll collection. The scene shifts from the restrained girl to the chaos outside. People are lying on the ground near the truck, and it's clear that a massacre has already begun. Test subject 001 finally opens her eyes. You can see the pure confusion and fear in her gaze as she slowly starts to realize the nightmare she's currently trapped in. She starts thrashing against her heavy chains, trying to make sense of the empty room. There isn't a single doctor in sight, which only makes the silence feel more terrifying. The girl hears a suspicious noise nearby and snaps her head around. She demands to know who's there, her voice trembling as she realizes she isn't as alone as she thought. It's Hinari, the nurse. This poor girl is shaking like a leaf, holding her hands up and begging the blonde subject not to kill her as she hides behind a desk. They stare at each other, both equally terrified. Our nurse mutters about something she saw, but she's so panicked that she can barely get the words out of her mouth. The blonde girl doesn't understand anything. She demands to know why she's being treated like a monster, strapped down to a table and locked away from the rest of the world. Hinari is totally losing it, reaching for her pills while claiming everyone is going to die. She tells the girl that there's a dangerous dope man currently loose in the building. The blonde subject asks what a Dopeman even is. This girl looks her dead in the eye and points a shaking finger, telling her that she's one of them herself. Our nurse explains that the doctors only put those restraints on because they think Dopemen are dangerous. She's clearly been told that anyone with these powers is a monster. Test subject 001 insists she isn't dangerous at all, but Hinari isn't listening. In her mind, being a Dopeman automatically makes someone a threat to everyone around them. There's a long, tense moment of silence as they just look at each other. Hinari seems a bit confused by the girl's reaction, which isn't exactly what she expected. The blonde girl breaks down, asking the one thing she can't answer. Who is she? Turns out she's got no memory of her past, or how she even got here. Hinari starts to realize this girl might not be the real threat. She admits she was worried about someone else, and asks if the subject is actually in danger too. Hinari gazes at the blonde girl, admitting she thinks this subject is different from other Domen. The girl is touched, softly thanking the nurse for seeing her as a real person. The nurse giggles, telling the subject she's just too pretty to be a monster. It's a rare moment of lightheartedness in a place that has only known clinical coldness and fear. Our girl touches her own face, finally seeing herself in the reflection of a monitor. She wonders who she actually is, realizing her past is a complete and total blank. Suddenly, Tsukumo's voice booms through the intercom. He's right outside the door, his face twisted into a theatrical grin as he tells them he's coming in to pick her up. The atmosphere shifts instantly from hope back to pure terror. Tsukumo mocks them from the observation window, while Hinari and the blonde girl realize their time is rapidly running out. This psycho is having the time of his life, screaming about how perfect the girl's face is. He's obsessed with her beauty, but in a way that's completely unsettling and dangerous. Hinari clings to the subject, screaming that the Dopeman is actually here. They can see Tsukumo through the glass, waving at them like a demented fan meeting his favorite idol. Tsukumo stares at her through the window, his eyes wide and hungry. He's mesmerized by her, declaring that this girl is the ultimate Dopeman he's been searching for all along. He slams his fists against the security door, demanding they open up immediately. The loud banging echoes through the room, making it clear that the lock won't hold him back forever. Hinari snaps into action, realizing they have to get out of there right now. She tells the subject that staying in this room is a guaranteed death sentence for both of them. The blonde girl asks if she knows a way out of this high-security lab. Our nurse gives a shaky nod, promising she knows a path that the doctors haven't thought of yet. Turns out, bullies used to lock Hinari in this very room when she was younger. Because of that trauma, she knows every single corner and vent in the place like her own hand. She tells the girl that because the doctors consider her junkie scum, they never bother to monitor her movements. She's used to being invisible, and now that might actually save them. Hinari whispers her plan into the subject's ear, pointing toward a hidden maintenance hatch. They have to move fast before Tsukumo finds a way to bypass the electronic security locks. The blonde girl pauses, noticing something on a nearby equipment rack. She tells Hinari to wait, her gaze sharpening as she realizes they're going to need a way to fight back. She grabs a heavy medical tool that looks like a specialized axe. While Tsukumo watches from the window with a creepy grin, the girl prepares to take matters into her own hands. Our nurse is worried, pointing out that cutting the wires might trigger an even tighter lockdown. But the subject is determined, knowing they can't just sit there and wait for the end. The blonde girl tells Hinari she has an idea and starts checking the equipment. She ignores Tsukumo's theatrical waving, focusing entirely on the task of breaking them out of their cage. Tsukumo tries to act like he's not the enemy, telling the subject to just calm down. But our girl isn't falling for his act, swinging her heavy tool with all her might. With a massive whack, she smashes the electronic control box. Sparks fly everywhere as the machine dings, and the room is suddenly plunged into darkness as the power grid fails. Amid the chaos and falling ceiling tiles, Hinari shouts for the girl to follow her. They dash toward the emergency exit, using the sudden blackout to vanish before Tsukumo can react. Tsukumo is livid, screaming into the dark room and asking where they are. He realizes too late that the subject he was so obsessed with has just slipped right through his fingers. He checks the ventilation shaft, but the trail is already cold. This flamboyant killer is absolutely disgusted, muttering that he doesn't want to get his fancy clothes dirty by crawling after them. Tsukumo finally swallows his pride and calls his boss to report the fail. He sounds actually scared now, admitting the girl got away and totally dropping that earlier cocky act. Up in her luxury jet, Maria Quadrado listens to the report with pure annoyance. She's not happy at all, calling Tsukumo an idiot for scaring their target off so easily. A private helicopter soars over the city as Narco Maria Quadrado casually paints her nails. When Tsukumo asks if the girl is a Dopeman, she dismisses it with cold, calculating confidence. Sipping a cocktail, the cartel boss admits she isn't certain about the girl's true nature yet. However, she's convinced that anyone that beautiful must be far more than just a mere human. Maria tells Tsukumo that if this girl really is a high-level Dopeman, they absolutely need her on their side. She orders him to track her down and bring her in immediately. Tsukumo seems caught off guard by her intense focus. He quickly drops his theatrical act and offers a submissive, "Yes, boss," knowing better than to question Narco Maria Quadrado's final word. Narco Maria Quadrado, the big boss of the cartel, looks like she's having the time of her life. She's got that I own everything energy while lounging in the back. Then there's Tsukumo. This guy is a flamboyant nightmare in lace and a lab coat, currently stalking through a medical lab. Definitely not your average hospital visitor, that's for sure. Back outside, Tojima is sensing something sketchy. He spots someone approaching and stays on high alert. Our boy isn't taking any chances tonight with trouble lurking around every corner. Standing by his car, the guy looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. He's just trying to enjoy a smoke in his lab coat before things inevitably go south in this city. While the nurse and a mysterious girl hide, the heavy hitters are moving into position. Tojima starts heading toward the building, ready to face whatever mess is waiting inside for him. His partner Matrix shows up, rocking a mask and a trendy cap. She points out that they finally arrived at the scene. It's go time for our duo of peacekeepers. The rookie tells him someone just called the cops from his hospital. She's dead serious about it, but Tojima still looks pretty skeptical about the whole situation. He needs more proof. She confirms it's a D case involving Dopeman, those drug-fueled monsters with crazy powers. Hearing that, our boy's expression sharpens instantly. This just became a lot more dangerous than a routine checkup. Matrix tries to touch his car, and he absolutely loses it. He tells her to back off while gripping his revolver. Priorities, right? Nobody touches the ride, not even his own partner. Tojima heads inside alone, clicking his revolver to make sure it's ready. He finds a couple of guys already down on the pavement. The party started without him, and it looks brutal. He checks a body, wondering if a Dopeman really did this. Something feels off about the scene. This guy's got a pro eye for detail, and he's not buying the official story. Using his flashlight, he notices bruising around the victims' necks. He figures they were probably strangled to death. It's a messy way to go, especially for high-profile hospital staff like these. He realizes strangulation takes time and probably required multiple attackers to pull off simultaneously. The building looms over him like a giant tomb as he tries to connect the dots. Then he finds something really weird, silicone scraps under the victim's fingernails. They were fighting back, but they weren't grabbing skin. This just made the whole case a lot more confusing. While he's wondering why there's silicone instead of flesh, a blood-curdling scream rings out from the building. No more time for forensic theories. The real action is happening right now. A window shatters and glass falls as Tojima looks up. Something just went down in one of the upper rooms. It's the universal signal for a hunter that it's time to play. He sprints toward the entrance, calling them rats as he dashes inside. Our boy is moving fast now, knowing every second counts when people are screaming for their lives in a hospital. Tojima clears the hallways with his gun drawn and flashlight cutting through the dark. He's professional and focused, sweeping the area like he's done this 1,000 times before. He's ready. He enters a room and finds a shattered window with curtains blowing in the wind. The place is a wreck. Someone or something definitely made a violent exit through that glass recently. He keeps his gun trained on the dark corners of the room. He finds another body in a bed, but his focus is on the shadows. This guy knows when he's being watched. Suddenly, he pulls back a curtain and finds someone waiting. The voice tells him to watch where he's pointing his weapon. Talk about a tense meeting in the middle of a massacre. Turns out it's a doll. A creepy, lifelike thing in black lingerie that starts twitching on the bed. Tojima is genuinely baffled, realizing this isn't a human girl he's dealing with. The thing lunges at him with zero warning. It moves with a terrifying, jerky speed that's totally unnatural. This is Tsukumo's work, and it's meant to kill anyone in its path. Tojima doesn't hesitate for a second. He shoves his gun barrel right into the doll's mouth with a look of pure disgust. Seriously, this mechanical freak is a total nightmare. He pulls the trigger, blowing its head into a spray of mechanical parts. It wasn't human, but the way it moved was way too real. He thinks he's safe, but he's wrong. Tojima gets grabbed from behind by another one of those dolls. It's a sudden ambush in the dark, and our boy is definitely caught off guard by the thing's unnatural speed. He realizes this guy's power is possessing dolls to do his dirty work. As the girl-shaped thing attacks, our hero just keeps his cool, already planning his next move to end this. With one clean shot, he blows the doll's head off before it can finish calling him the dope killer. He stands there, totally unfazed by the shattered window and the violence around him. He grins, reminding the creep that he's part of the Special Unit D from the Ministry. This dude isn't just some random investigator. He's a professional hunter sent to clean up. The guy takes a moment to look at the mess in the hospital room. He knows there's more than just one of these dolls lurking in the shadows, waiting for another opening. While our boy keeps his guard up, several more girls are shown, looking totally blank and lifeless. He clicks his gun, ready to face whatever other twisted creations are wandering through these halls. Meanwhile, Nurse Hinari leads the blonde girl toward the service entrance. They're moving as fast as they can through the quiet hallways, just trying to make it out of this nightmare alive. They suddenly hear loud bangs echoing through the building. The sounds are getting closer, and both of them freeze in place, realizing they might have run right into another dangerous situation. A shadow looms over them as Hinari realizes those sounds were definitely gunshots. She's trembling with fear, while the blonde girl looks more focused, sensing the danger that's right in front of them. Out of nowhere, Dr. Kubo lunges at them with a golf club in his hand. He's looking totally unhinged, screaming at the test subject for trying to escape his clinical little prison. The elitist doctor points his club right at the girl, confirming she's the test subject he's been looking for. He's got that cold, dismissive look that says he doesn't view her as human. Hinari steps in, trying to tell Kubo he's got it all wrong. She's desperate to protect the girl, but her voice is shaking as she faces the man she's clearly terrified of. The nurse pleads with him, claiming the girl isn't a threat and that they ran away together. Our girl is really putting herself on the line here for someone she barely even knows. Kubo realizes Hinari was the one who helped the test subject escape. He adjusted his glasses, looking even more annoyed that a lowly nurse would dare to mess with his important experiments. In a sudden burst of violence, the doctor slaps Hinari right across the face. It's a brutal move that sends her stumbling back, showing just how little he cares about his own staff. He starts berating her, calling her junkie scum, and saying she lacks the brain power to make good decisions. This guy is the definition of elitist trash, treating everyone around him like garbage. Hinari breaks down, sobbing and apologizing as she fumbles for her pills. She's completely broken by his words, falling back on her addiction just to cope with the fear and the pain. The doctor looks down at her with pure disgust, mocking how addicts always fall back on their drugs. He stands tall, enjoying the power he has over someone so vulnerable and lost. He keeps digging the knife in, asking why she can't get anything through her junky head. It's a chilling reminder of how this society treats people who have struggled with drug addiction. Hinari is on her knees, begging for forgiveness while the blonde girl watches with a hardening expression. It's a heartbreaking scene of a woman being completely crushed by her abusive boss's cruelty. Kubo orders Inari to restrain the test subject so they can leave. He turns his back on her, fully expecting her to obey like a well-trained animal after he just humiliated her. But instead of doing that, the blonde girl reaches out to help Hinari back to her feet. It's a quiet moment of kindness in the middle of all this clinical cruelty and hate. She tells the doctor she's just showing common decency by helping a friend. Her eyes are sharp and defiant now, showing that she's far more human than the man with the club. Kubo is totally floored. He can't believe a Dopeman would actually act human. To this guy, it's ridiculous that a monster could ever care about someone else's safety or well-being. The girl steps in with a bold offer. She'll go with him willingly if he just leaves Hinari alone. She's ready to give up her freedom to save the nurse who helped her. Kubo adjusts his glasses, acting all high and mighty. He dismisses the girl's intervention as a simple rebuke, firmly believing that monsters like her shouldn't even have opinions in his hospital. Suddenly, the girl notices a hidden threat and screams a warning. Hinari is paralyzed with fear as a shadowy figure lunges at the arrogant doctor from behind. Things just got real. Our girl doesn't hesitate, delivering a massive kick that sends the doll flying. She just saved the very man who was abusing her, showing a level of humanity he clearly lacks. This close-up shows the intense focus in her eyes. She's not just some mindless experiment anymore. She's a person acting on instinct to protect those around her, even her enemies. In the background, a doll twitches and screeches as it hits the floor. Kubo is absolutely losing it, cowering in terror as he realizes just how close he came to dying. The girl realizes she needs a weapon and snatches the golf club right out of the doctor's hand. She swings it with perfect precision, thwacking another doll right across the face. Panting heavily, she stands over the defeated doll with the golf club ready. Hinari just watches in total awe, unable to believe that this monster is actually fighting for them. One of the dolls twitches on the ground, its glassy eyes staring into nothingness. Hinari can't help but gasp at the sight, seeing the girl's incredible power up close for herself. The girl mutters that her body just moved on its own when she sensed the danger. Kubo is still on the floor, speechless, and staring at her like she's some alien species. A bell chimes over the intercom, followed by a shaky announcement about a fugitive on the loose. The atmosphere in the hallway turns even colder as the hospital goes into lockdown. The voice on the speakers belongs to Tsukumo, and he's specifically looking for his Miss Beautiful Dopeman. He tells her to return to her room immediately, sounding like a total creep. He starts screaming like a maniac, threatening to murder every patient in the building until she shows herself. It's a psychopathic ultimatum that leaves everyone in the hallway frozen in terror. Meanwhile, Tojima is busy taking down dolls in another part of the building. He hears the broadcast and scoffs, calling Tsukumo a total scumbag for hiding behind these mindless, possessed toys. The carnage is everywhere as the dolls start cracking necks and tearing through staff and patients. The hospital is quickly becoming a slaughterhouse under Tsukumo's twisted orders. It's absolute chaos. The girl, Hinari, and Kubo stumble upon another victim lying dead in the hallway. More screams echo from the distance, a grim reminder that the massacre is still very much ongoing. Seeing all this death makes the girl physically sick. She bends over, nauseous and horrified, while Hinari rushes to her side to check if she's actually okay after all that fighting. She's completely shaken by the senseless violence, her eyes wide with shock. Hinari tries to keep her calm, but the scent of death in the air is starting to become overwhelming. Hinari asks if she's throwing up because of the dying people, sounding almost confused. The girl can't believe how cruel this whole world is, feeling the weight of every lost life. The nurse leans in close, calling the girl weird for actually caring about people dying. It's a chilling insight into how desensitized Hinari has become in this drug-fueled, dystopian society. Our girl reaches into her pocket and pulls out a bottle of pills. She offers them to the test subject, claiming they'll help her forget all the fear and horror. The girl just stares at her, completely baffled by the suggestion. She can't wrap her head around the idea of using drugs to just ignore the massacre happening right in front. The nurse explains the social norm, quoting a politician who said drugs are the answer to every problem. Kubo is in the background, clearly ready to embrace that philosophy to cope. Kubo pulls out his own stash and starts taking something. The girl watches in horror as the doctor, the supposed man of science, starts drugging himself in the middle of a crisis. Kubo claims he's just sharpening his focus with some meds. This guy looks totally unhinged, his eyes glowing behind his glasses as the drugs start to kick in and warp his mind. Now both Hinari and Kubo are laughing like maniacs, completely giving in to the high. Only the test subject stays sober, watching them both spiral into this absolute mess of a situation. Hinari is totally losing it, convinced that the only way to survive this nightmare is to dive headfirst into drug-fueled madness. She's about to pop those pills with a terrifying, manic grin. But just as she's about to do it, the test subject reaches out and firmly grabs her hand. The girl tells her she doesn't need those drugs to face the fear. With a look of pure determination, the blonde girl vows that no one else in the hospital will die. While Tsukumo lurks in the shadows, she's finally stepping up as a hero. The hospital is a mess, and patients are dropping like flies. Tojima eyes the scene coldly, while Tsukumo grins. This psycho clearly enjoys the chaos he's caused in the lobby. Subject 001 can't take it anymore. She marches forward, telling Hinari she won't let another soul die today. Our girl is ready to sacrifice herself to stop this massacre. Hinari can only watch in silence, her face pale with worry. Behind her, Tojima asks what exactly she plans to do. The tension in the hallway is getting way too thick. Subject 001 isn't backing down. She yells at Tojima to get Hinari to safety, promising she'll figure something out on her own. She's taking a massive gamble here to save her friend. This girl sprints down the long hallway, leaving the others behind. Tojima and Hinari watch her go, knowing she's walking straight into the lion's den to save the rest of the patients. Meanwhile, Tsukumo is chilling in the isolation wing's control room. He's clutching a weird doll, looking at the screens like he's watching a movie. This guy is seriously sketchy. The creep starts digging through the digital archives. He clicks on a file labeled Test Dopeman 032A, and the truth about Subject 001 is finally about to come to light. A grainy recording shows Subject 001 strapped to an operating table. Scientists surround her, treating her like a piece of equipment rather than a human being. It's absolutely brutal to watch. The experiments were relentless. Scientists monitored her bodily reactions as they pumped her with various drugs. They weren't just testing her, they were checking if her body could reproduce them. Turns out, Subject 001 doesn't just absorb drugs like a normal person. Her body actually reproduces every single chemical that enters her system. She's a walking, breathing drug factory. Tsukumo stares at the screen, calling her a living drug factory. He seems thrilled to have found such a valuable resource. To him, she's just the ultimate prize to be claimed. Suddenly, Subject 001 steps into the room, officially surrendering. She demands that he stop hurting innocent people now that she's here. She really thinks this creep will keep his word. Tsukumo just laughs and gestures to the monitors behind him. He has that smug look on his face that tells you things are about to get a whole lot worse for everyone. The girl's eyes go wide as she sees the screens. The dolls are still attacking patients everywhere. She screams in horror, realizing her sacrifice didn't stop the killing at all. Subject 001 breaks down, asking how he could be so cruel. Tsukumo just shrugs it off, claiming he only promised to keep killing until she arrived. Talk about a total scumbag. He leans in, his expression completely devoid of any empathy. The creep says no one is going to mourn a bunch of hospitalized junkies anyway. This guy is pure evil. Tsukumo tries to gaslight her, saying they're special because Icarus chose them. Subject 001 looks lost, her world shattering as he tries to drag her down to his level. The psycho keeps rambling, claiming she must have wanted to surpass humans just like he did. He's trying to convince her that they're the same, but she can't believe it. Memories of the lab flood back, with researchers calling her a monster that isn't even human. Subject 001 stares in shock, the trauma of her past finally catching up to her. Tsukumo asks if any of this rings a bell. He calls her a monster again, leaning into the trauma to break her spirit. He wants her to embrace the darkness inside. He clicks the mouse, bringing up more images of her chained to that cold metal table. He mocks the scientist for using her body as one big, twisted science experiment. Subject 001 covers her mouth, trembling as the reality of her existence sinks in. Tsukumo hovers nearby with his doll, watching her suffer like it's the best show in town. This creep asks if the truth makes her feel sick or angry. He's trying to trigger her survival instincts, pushing her to the edge to see if she'll finally snap. Tsukumo is straight up screaming now, yelling about how he wants everyone dead. His face is a total mess of rage. This guy has officially lost his grip on reality. Subject 001 is shaking while he rants about humans being insects. She's trapped with a total psycho, but even through the fear, she's clearly reached her limit with his nonsense. Subject 001 stands her ground, asking Tsukumo why he's dragging innocent people into this. The psycho just stares back, his expression cold and completely unimpressed by her desperate plea. Tsukumo's eyes widen in shock. He can't believe this girl actually has the nerve to talk back to him. It's like he's seeing her in a whole new light now. Our girl admits she has no idea who or what she is. But one thing's for sure, she knows killing people who have nothing to do with this is wrong. This guy totally loses it. He screams at her for acting like a human when she's supposed to be a monster. He thinks she's just pretending to be a Dopeman. The tension in the room is at a breaking point. Tsukumo reaches out, his hand moving with a terrifying speed that leaves Subject 001 frozen in place, eyes wide. He suddenly grabs her by the throat, lifting her off the ground. Our girl struggles to breathe as the life is slowly squeezed out of her by this absolute maniac. Tsukumo mocks her, telling her to use her hidden powers if she wants to live. He's obsessed with seeing her true nature, even if it means killing her first. Subject 001's vision starts to blur as the pressure on her neck increases. She's completely helpless in his grip, her hands weakly clawing at the air for any hope. He finally lets go, and our girl thuds onto the cold floor like a broken doll. Tsukumo stands over her, looking completely bored with the results of his little experiment. Wait, did she actually die? Tsukumo starts panicking, swearing up a storm because his resource is motionless. This guy's only worried about his paycheck, not the life he took. He stares at her body, realizing that if she's dead, his theory was wrong. He can't believe he wasted his time on someone who wasn't even a real dope man. As the creep reaches down to check the body, footsteps echo through the hallway. Someone else is coming, and they aren't exactly trying to be quiet about it at all. Plot twist, Hinari bursts in, swinging a golf club with everything she's got. She screams at the top of her lungs, desperate to save her friend from this living nightmare. This girl is absolutely terrified, but she isn't backing down. She grips that club tight, her eyes filled with a mix of rage and pure, unfiltered desperation for her friend. She actually lands a hit. Hinari whacks one of the dolls right in the gut. The impact is loud, but it's clear she's outmatched by these supernatural creeps and their power. The nurse is panting, her hands shaking from the effort. She's staring down a literal monster with nothing but a sports accessory, and the odds aren't looking good for her. Tsukumo is furious. He calls Hinari a human junkie and kicks her to the floor. This guy has zero respect for anyone who isn't as twisted and broken as he is. Suddenly, a familiar voice rings out. Tojima mutters about Hinari being a moron, but he's finally stepping into the light. He claims he didn't abandon her after all. He looks down at the chaos with a bored expression. It's clear he's seen plenty of psychos like Tsukumo before, and he's not the least bit intimidated by the dolls. Tsukumo spins around, demanding to know who's there. Footsteps drag across the floor as Tojima slowly approaches, looking like he's just taking a casual stroll through a crime scene. The dragging sound gets louder as he enters the room. Everyone is frozen, watching this mysterious doctor walk right into the middle of the most dangerous situation imaginable. Tojima lights a cigarette, looking Tsukumo dead in the eye. He tells the creep he talks way too much for someone who only picks on people way weaker than him. Tojima stands tall, calling Tsukumo a total punk while casually grabbing one of his dolls. He's done playing the mild-mannered doctor and is finally showing his true, dangerous colors. Tojima mocks them for being nothing but junkies, his gaze turning sharp. Our boy is done talking, and that look says things are about to get extremely violent, extremely fast. He suddenly launches a massive kick, sending a precious doll flying. Tsukumo screams in absolute rage, completely unaware that the doctor is about to do something even more unhinged. Tojima presses his revolver against his own temple, looking completely unfazed. He mocks Tsukumo, saying if these dolls are so precious, they should have stayed safe in a display case. Plot twist. Our boy actually pulls the trigger. The impact is visceral, sending Tsukumo into a total panic. He clearly didn't expect the doctor to be this unhinged. Tojima's body starts twitching violently as the power surges through him. This is the peacemaker ritual in action, and it looks like it hurts as much as it works. He lets out a primal roar, his neck tattoos glowing as he fully activates his abilities. This isn't just a high. It's a complete transformation into a killing machine. Tojima doesn't waste a second. He grabs one of the dolls by the head and slams it into the desk with a bone-shattering crack. The desk practically disintegrates under his strength. He's moving like a blur now, tossing the dolls around like they're made of paper. The combat is fast, brutal, and totally one-sided. Tojima is definitely not a normal human. After wrecking the room, Tojima stands tall, gun in hand. Tsukumo is shaking, completely outmatched by the very person he thought was just a mild-mannered doctor. Without hesitation, he levels his revolver and fires. The sound is deafening in the cramped room, marking the end of the line for Tsukumo's twisted little game. One of the dolls gets blasted back, completely destroyed by the shot. Tojima's gaze is cold and focused. He's done playing around with these freaks. Our boy pins the psycho to the ground, pressing the hot barrel of his gun against his face. He calls him a whack job, and honestly, that's putting it lightly. Tojima looks down at him with pure disgust. He asks if Tsukumo really thinks Subject 001 is human after seeing those research records. To him, she's something entirely different. We get a close-up of Subject 001 lying on the floor. She looks completely lifeless, her long hair fanned out around her. It's a pretty grim sight for a second. But wait, she's alive. Tojima calmly explains that she isn't dead yet. As if on cue, our girl's hand starts to twitch. The tension in the room shifts instantly. Subject 001 starts coughing her lungs out, gasping for air as she comes back to life. Hinari is absolutely stunned, watching her friend resurrect right in front of her. Tojima gets all scientific, comparing her to animals that play dead to escape predators. It's a survival mechanism, and it turns out our girl is a master at it. He figures out that she synthesized her own drugs to slow her heart rate and then revive herself. Subject 001 clings to Hinari, still shaken from the experience. While keeping Tsukumo pinned, Tojima starts explaining the medical realities of strangulation. He's talking about brain damage and death like he's reading a textbook. He tells the creep that to actually kill someone by strangling them, you need at least 10 minutes. Tsukumo is struggling, but he's completely helpless under Tojima's boot. Tojima mocks him for not following through. He tells Tsukumo he just doesn't have enough dope in his blood to be a real killer. Talk about a brutal roast. Suddenly, bang! Tojima fires a warning shot right next to Tsukumo's head. Hinari and Subject 001 flinch at the sound, their hearts racing as the violence escalates. Hinari quickly covers the girl's eyes, whispering that it's best not to look at what's about to happen. She's trying to protect whatever innocent subject 001 has left. The nurse breaks down, crying and laughing at the same time. She's just so incredibly relieved that her friend is still alive. It's a rare emotional moment in this mess. Tojima stands over the defeated villain, looking like the ultimate badass. Hinari and Subject 001 watch from a distance, still trying to process who this guy actually is. Our boy breaks down the chemical cocktail she whipped up, clearly impressed by her instincts. He's deadpan, but he can't deny she has a terrifying natural talent. He gives her a rare bit of praise, but the mood turns cold instantly. Subject 001 stares back, totally lost as the praise shifts into a deadly threat. Tojima stands over Subject 001 and Hinari, his revolver aimed directly at our girl. He asks her if she even understands the chaos she's responsible for in this hospital. The tension is unbearable as Tojima levels his gun. He warns her that if she can't control her dangerous power, he'll have to put her down right here. Subject 001 doesn't even try to fight back. Instead, she begs him to spare Hinari and only take her life if he absolutely has to kill someone. This total lack of resistance clearly catches Tojima off guard. He lowers the hammer on his revolver, looking at her with a mix of shock and utter confusion. Our girl breaks down, admitting she has no clue who she is, but knows people are dying because of her existence. She doesn't want to be a monster anymore. Tojima's response is cold as ice. He calls her self-sacrificing attitude disgusting, leaving Subject 001 completely baffled as she clings to Hinari for comfort. He repeats himself, standing tall over her with his gun still in hand. He has zero patience for anyone who tries to take the easy way out through martyrdom. Our boy tells her that dying wouldn't solve a single thing. It would just make things easier for her while leaving the nurse in even more danger. He keeps the pressure on, telling her that death is just a way to escape the responsibility of protecting others. Tojima is really laying into her psyche here. Something clicks in Subject 001's mind. She looks up at him, her eyes filled with a new, raw intensity that definitely wasn't there just a few seconds ago. She suddenly screams at the top of her lungs, demanding to know what she's supposed to do if dying isn't the answer. Tojima just watches her emotional explosion. A primal roar erupts from our girl as her hidden power starts to crackle around her. It's like her survival instincts are finally overriding her desire to give up. Tojima doesn't flinch. He pulls the hammer back on his revolver with a sharp whoosh, preparing for whatever transformation is about to happen to the girl in front of him. Suddenly, bang, a shot rings out, but it's not for her. Tojima is moving with a speed that shouldn't be humanly possible, leaving after images in his wake. He's a total blur as he maneuvers around the room. Our boy is finally letting loose, showing everyone why he's the one holding the gun in this mess. As the dust settles, Tojima looks back at the girls. Tsukumo is down for the count, and the immediate threat has been neutralized by his swift and brutal intervention. He realizes that Subject 001 is a natural. Tojima suspects she actually managed to copy his own doping effect just by imagining it. This girl is a literal pharmaceutical prodigy. Our girl is left breathless, wondering who this mysterious man actually is. Tojima points out that it's no wonder the cartel is so obsessed with getting their hands on her. He explains her true potential, the dope power to analyze, reproduce, and literally create any drug in existence. She's the most valuable asset on the planet. Tojima tells her she needs to use that power if she wants to get out of this hospital alive. He's done being the executioner and is now the teacher. Subject 001 can only stare in disbelief. Everything she thought she knew about herself has just been flipped upside down by this chain-smoking doctor with the gun. Suddenly, Tojima spots someone hiding in the shadows. It's Kubo, another doctor from the facility. He barks at him to stop playing hide-and-seek and show himself. He orders Kubo to take Hinari and get ready to make a break for it. The hospital is about to become a war zone, and they need to move fast. Our girl asks who they're even running from. Tojima's answer is short and chilling. The enemy. And, judging by the noise, they're already right outside the door. Tojima lights a smoke just as a mob of crazed junkies bursts in. Tsukumo's voice screams for blood, but our boy senses something is seriously wrong with the man before them. Tojima reveals a grim truth. The man he just shot wasn't Tsukumo at all, but another doll. Subject 001 stares in horror at the headless body, realizing how deep this psycho's obsession goes. The room is crawling with Tsukumo's twisted creations. Our boy keeps his gun leveled, explaining that the creep even made a love doll modeled after himself to use as a decoy. Suddenly, bang! Tojima fires without hesitation, blasting the head off another approaching doll. He's not falling for any more of these creepy plastic tricks. Tsukumo is absolutely fuming. From wherever he's hiding, he screams that Tojima is going to pay for this. Meanwhile, the dolls are shaking and twitching like they're having a collective seizure. The psycho rants over the speakers, claiming he'll kill everyone and that there's nowhere left to run. Tojima just casually lights his cigarette, completely unimpressed by the villain's final boss speech. Cut to the outside world, where a massive tactical operation is underway. Tojima radios in, confirming the target took the bait. Helicopters and armored units are moving in to clean up the mess. The chapter ends with a look at Tojima's team as they receive the orders to maintain protection of Subject 001. Things are just getting started, and our girl is now the center of a much larger war.